feeling overwhelmed? Well, you should be. If you're not, my name is Joel Gaming, and I'm here to walk you through your new love-hate relationship with the game you'll sink 1,000 hours into. Of course, I'm talking about Nubby's Number Factory. Let's get into it. So just what is Nubby's Number Factory? Well, I'll tell you. To play, you aim Nubby and you fire Nubby. That's it. But it's so much more than that. The goal is to pass the round by firing Nubby at different pegs and get enough score to pass the round goal. And you only have 5 attempts to pass this round goal before the sun quite literally explodes and the universe ends and you lose the game. So it's safe to say that the stakes are pretty high with these numbers. And as you continue to pass rounds, the round goal gets higher and so do the value of the pegs. So we're going to go from like tens to hundreds to millions to billions to even trillions as we continue to play the game. Now, of course, to get up there in number, there are different items and perks and even a black market with like extra rare items to make this even easier. And every so often we can look forward to these special events that can either be like a claw machine where you can get different items or gold coins or keys to the black market or Nubby capsules that gives us a choice between 2 perks or even getting extra gold. Now, as you may have noticed, there is a gentleman in the bottom left corner of the screen watching us and cheering us on as we try to pass the round goal. This is Tony. Now, while it may seem friendly,
I'm getting paid below minimum wage.
Tony, your supervisor, and his many variants will send boss rounds at you periodically throughout the game to try to throw off your groove. Even so, as you progress through the game, you make it through the factory level and then launch into the stratosphere, followed by going to the moon, and eventually to the Sun Temple. Which honestly looks crazy, because why does a game about firing a ball at numbers have a Sun Temple? But I digress. In all its craziness, if you're able to make it to the last round, you actually get to fight Tony, and if you beat him, you win the game and unlock endless mode for that particular run. Along with Tony, you can unlock different supervisors that change the game in different ways. This part of the game is honestly insane, is what makes it so awesome.
What do you want from me, huh?
For instance, what run of Nubby's Number Factory would it be without playing a round of Baloney Tony? To give you the scoop of why Baloney Tony is so cool, he randomizes the criteria needed to trigger your items. What this means is now you can make new builds that have synergies like never before. I found very early on that this made runs go incredibly crazy. I was hitting numbers I've never been heard of before on like round 30 with these builds. And of course the screen goes crazy trying to keep up with all this math. Better yet, why not do a round of Criminal Tony, where black market items can appear in Nubby Mart and Nubby capsules, making it that much easier to get a ridiculous build. By the time the game was over, my entire item list was filled with black market items. With these and other supervisors adding creative new ways to make the game different, the possibilities are endless, and it makes the replayability of the game shoot through the roof. Now, it's not just the supervisors that put a unique spin on this game, because you can also do challenges that make the game fun and also incredibly difficult. Let's take the Short on Change challenge, for example. You can only get a maximum of 10 coins. Seems easy, right? Well, that's where you'd be wrong, because apparently not having more coins than 10 makes the game pretty difficult. You can only buy 1 item in the shop most of the time, and so you really have to make it count when you're deciding your build early on. You thought that was bad. What about the Nublock challenge? This challenge involves having to meet the quota on every round, and if you don't, the leftmost item in your inventory is deleted. So at this point, just put me in the cannon and fire me at the pegs. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Through what some may call sheer force of will, while others may call it pure stubbornness, I eventually beat this challenge, and the sense of accomplishment was like no other. And so if you're into that sort of thing, you know, like self-inflicted punishment, challenges might be right up your alley. Okay, at this point you might be wondering, okay, we got the gameplay down, but what is this game even about? What is Nubby? Who is Tony? Who are these different characters, and how do they fit into the universe of Nubby as a whole? And to be honest, I couldn't really tell you, nor can I really tell if there's anything to put together. This game might just be abstract pieces thrown into one bunch to make a pretty fun experience. But if I had to guess, my take is that Nubby seems to be held captive by Tony and his round table of supervisors, and it's up to us to free Nubby from his servitude. Using black magic and arcane arts, we conjure up these items that are like cursed in nature and defy the natural order to seemingly do our overseer's bidding before we betray him in the end. After all, how could items like Poop Butt and Cheese House be anything but cursed? But for what purpose we're crunching numbers is still a mystery. It's true that the universe runs on math, so maybe by continuously throwing Nubby at these different numbers, we're perpetually keeping the universe alive until we run out of vessels with which to crunch numbers with, and the sun explodes, thus ending all life as we know it. In any event, all we know is that Nubby has some higher purpose, rather than just being trapped in this factory along with his friends. I mean, after all, there's a sun god temple as one of the stages, and there's like other strange phenomena that is littered throughout this game. I'm interested to see how the narrative in this game develops, if ever, but I'm here for the ride. maybe in a few years from now we can take all the Tonys and try to make sense of this multiverse-like story. So after all this, if you're still not hooked yet, and I find it hard not to be hooked on such a cool game, you may think, why play this? Well, if you give me a moment of your time, I'll tell you why. In my humble opinion, the potential this game has is exponential, if not limitless. To take a small tangent, math puns aside, I've played many hours of The Binding of Isaac where I fell in love with that game for its ability to mix and match builds and have no two runs that were alike. I believe that this game replicates that same magic and charm that hooked me on Isaac and other roguelites starting so many years ago. Now, like any roguelike, when the runs are good, they're really good. And when the runs are bad, be prepared to hit that reset button a lot. Ooh, but when the build hits just right, it's perfect. Now, normally you can have different types of builds depending on the items you pick. Like, you could have some items that trigger once you pass the round goal. You could have different items that summon things after a certain criteria. You could have builds that rely on halving other pegs or doubling all the pegs, so when you hit them, you get a lot more points than you normally would. You could play a normal game without any modifiers or supervisors or challenges and still get a pretty insane build. But we're not satisfied with just enough. We're trying to go above and beyond. And so in one particular run where I was playing Baloney Tony as my supervisor, I had one of those peg halving builds where I had the seal, the E-block, and who could forget Jake the Snake. With these items in our inventory, actually firing Nubby didn't really do a whole lot until Nubby died. Sorry Nubby, but that's where the real magic happened. This would trigger the E-block, which would trigger the seal and the kazoo on either side of this item and have the pegs without actually popping them. They continue to double, and before long we're caught in an infinite chain that led to the chaos and gigantic numbers that you can see here. I'm assuming D means undefined, and so the numbers got pretty crazy. Let's say you're not into seals and laser pointers, maybe you like booger monsters instead. Well, you know what, I got just the build for you too. Now, instead of being when pegs are halved, when 2 pegs were popped, which by the way is not a lot of pegs to pop, we began to create a whole bunch of crazy things, including these monsters that after another 2 pegs would pop, would create another monster and so forth, and jacks that would fall from the ceiling and drop push pins. While not resulting in the infinite combo, this made clearing the board a work of ease. Once you get the hang of this game, you can really take your creativity and just run with it. I used to think I was just bad at this game, and I remember firing the peg into the void and gutterballing it time after time again and being like, am I the problem? And the answer was yes. User error. But once you start to learn what items pair well together and what items you should be taking in the early, mid, and late game, it really just clicks. At that point, the high scores you can get to in this game and some of the mathematical interactions between different items are insane. And along the way, while you're learning the difficulty curve, you can appreciate the aesthetic of this game, which is phenomenal and one of the best I've seen hands down. And I don't even think I can do it justice by explaining it. You just have to see it to believe it. Its style is like unlike anything I've ever played, and it gives an intentionally like basic kind of like computer vibe that reminds me of like early Windows. In the same way 5-year-old me was glued to the screen watching the Windows screensaver with the pipes go on forever, I'm glued to this game. Because there really isn't a whole lot to dislike about this game. The supervisors are funny and enthusiastic, the items are all creative and unique from one another, and the art is like super detailed. Like every background and every little detail you can tell was made with a lot of love, and to add it on top of all of it, the music and sound design is just perfect. With the right buffs to some of the weaker items, I truly believe that this game will be respected as a classic and be played and loved by many for years to come, as many have already fallen in love with the game as I have. And it's awesome to check out its store page. You can see a lot of people sharing the love by giving it such a strong review. And if my positive experience with the game hasn't been enough to sell you, I implore you to at least check it out, and I think you'll be glad you did. Anyway, that's my spiel for what I love about this game and why I can't recommend it enough. Huge thank you to the developer too for being so involved with the community and continuously updating the game with just like cool new items and new features based off community feedback. I feel like it's really rare nowadays to find a developer that shows so much love for their game outside of the indie space, and so I really do recommend supporting this title and its creator. In the same way, if you enjoyed this video, it would mean a lot if you help support me by sharing this with people you know and giving the video a like and letting us know your thoughts down below about maybe crazy builds you've made or your thoughts on the game. Trust me, I'm always keeping an eye out for some crazy builds. If you got some to send my way, I'd appreciate it. Along with these ways to show some love for the channel, I also have a YouTube membership and a Patreon where you can help support me and grow my channel by joining the Council of Thumbs, where I'll include the esteemed members at the end of this video. Well, I'm off to go launch Nubby once more and try to count a Googleplex on my fingers. This is Droll Gaming, signing off.